Welcome back to Watching Biz This Morning on Sunrise Daily right here on Channels Television. And it's that's a minimum wage issue. We've heard the state government saying that they cannot afford 60,000 naira, even though the federal government and the organized labor are proposing 62,000 naira. But we have another tier of government. What are they saying, the local government? What can they afford, or where are they in this conversation? We have the national president of Association of Local Government, Mr. Aminu Muazu Mai Fatah, joins us virtually from Lafia of Nasarawa State. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Mai Fatah, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, and you are welcome too.
So tell us, what's the stance of the local government in this issue of minimum wage?
In this issue of minimum wage, locally, I was an observer in the tripartite committee with full privilege to make contributions. It was came to a conclusion on the government side and the organized private sector at 62,000 naira as minimum wage, while labor stood at 250,000 naira per month as minimum wage. There and then, I made it categorically clear that with the present allocation from FAC, no any local government council in Nigeria can be able to pay 62,000 naira, which is a mere fact for anybody to see. One, the 772 local government councils, as the large or big number as they are, receive only slightly above 18% of the total FAC of the Federation, while the federal government is receiving above 52%. So I said, at this present 30,000 naira minimum wage, or some could not even afford the 30,000 naira, still working on 18,000 naira, whatever was coming as inflow from FAC, presently 90% goes into salaries and pension. So if you look at it, it's telling us that without adjustment, without upward review of the percentage of allocation coming to local government councils, it will be extremely difficult, or I can say impossible, for local government councils to even pay 62,000 naira minimum wage. So my plea there was, even I say, let the labor agrees on this 62,000 naira, and then allow us, the local government councils, which glaringly cannot be able to pay the 62,000 naira, but we know where to run to. We were lucky, the chairman of the governance forum was there, so I said, as our principals will always run to you for one augmentation or the other, and we also run to the federal government when this is 2,000 naira or any amount to be agreed between the federal government or the government side, the organized private sector, and the labor, whatever amount agreed, we have, and it becomes, when it becomes law, it has been passed by National Assembly, enacted, then we have no reason not to comply with it. But in order not to run foul of law, we say we must go to our principal, that is the governors in this, on one side, and the federal government on the other side, to augment whatever will be accruing to local government councils in Nigeria from FAC, so as to enable us attend to our obligations. So we have not, as local government councils in the country, we have not set any figure that this is what we can afford, looking at our financial constraints, always and only relying 98% or 99% on FAC. But we are waiting for whatever the outcome from Mr. President that will go to the National Assembly and then will become minimum wage as an act, then we'll work with it. But I also put it to them that local government councils have a lot of responsibilities on their head, like provision of basic health, provision of basic education, provision of sanitary aspects in the council. We have pension and gratuity. We have security at every level, provision of rural roads and potable drinking water and other rural electrifications. There are so numerous, overwhelming on local government councils. So this have to be looked into as to arrive at affordable minimum wage. We don't want something that we can start and cannot be sustained.
All right, Mr. Maifata. There are people who say that, as at other tiers of government, perhaps the issue of productivity of the staff should also come into play here. Perhaps in some cases, there's the issue of overstaff and ghost workers. Maybe if the local governments will look into these areas, about how many staff does a typical local government office need? How many do they have? Maybe from there we can prune the expenses and we'll be able to accommodate more or higher figures.
Yeah, the data is there. We have like about 5 basic departments in each local government council. But the unfortunate thing is past administrations or administrators at the local government in almost all the local government councils overflooded the workforce. You see, an engagement that requires one hand, you see about 50, 80 hands on that engagement, leaving majority redundant, just collecting salary at the end of the month. If we are to tackle this, it will affect a lot of families. I am being frank now. It will affect a lot of families. So many workers will have to be laid off, which will not all go well for the economy again. But as we are managing, there must be a time, just like what the immediate past governor of Kaduna State did, El Rufai, by looking at the needful, the exact required number that each local government is supposed to have. He did that analysis and came out with all the excess staff with the option of being paid off with handsome amount of money that will enable a staff being laid off or voluntarily resigning will have enough capital to start one business or the other that can sustain him for life. With that, he was able to reduce to the sizable number that local government councils can afford or can sustain. And this is really paying off. You see Kaduna local government councils with a lot of surpluses, with a lot of money at their disposal after paying salaries to execute projects. But almost 95% of local government councils in Nigeria, apart from this that I just mentioned, Kaduna, like Lagos, like Kano, and at times I can say Borno, Delta, and other rich states, only few of them are not only salary-paying institutions. After payment of salary, they are always left with nothing to undertake other basic and obligatory activities.
All right, Mr. Mai Fatah, thank you so much for sharing the perspective of local government with us on this issue of the new minimum wage. And as you said, just as you are watching, we are watching and hoping that the union and the government, states and federal, will have, well, an agreeable result at the end of the day. Mr. Aminu Muazu Mai Fatah is the National President of Association of Local Government of Nigeria. Algon, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
All right, we only have just a couple of seconds, less than a minute, I believe, to do the market, how the market closed. 2 days ago, all share was down 0.16%. Equities is still around 56 trillion naira after the market lost 93 billion naira at the close of trade. Activity was mixed, mostly red. And top gainers, Total, Presco, a lot of things happening in the oil and gas area. So if you're an investor, a potential investor, perhaps you want to look at top losers, NASCON, Thomas Way, and May and Baker. We'll give you more at 1 p.m. Ladi Williams will be here with Anete Edet. They'll give you fresh market numbers that you can make a decision with. I'm John Mekwa. Let's head back to the Sunrise Daily Studios.